today. Good morning. The Committee on Health, Economic Development, Homeland Security, Senior Citizen now convenes this public and confirmation hearing. Public hearing notices were given to the media. First notice on Wednesday, May 13, 2015. Second notice on Tuesday, May 19, 2015. For the record, today's Thursday, May 21st, 2015, and the time now is 9:03 a.m. The committee will hear and accept testimonies, both oral and written, on the executive appointment of Mr. William Castro as the Director of the Bureau of Statistics and Plans, the executive appointment of Dr. Ryan Claris, DTP, as a physical therapist representative to the Guam Board of Allied Health Examiners, and Bill 51-33, introduced by Senator Brant McCreadie, an act to add a new Section 80.125 to Chapter 80, Division 4, Title 10, Guam Code Annotated. Before I recognize my colleagues who are here with me, I'd like to recognize former Vice Speaker, Senator David Shimizu. Thank you very much, Senator, for being here. Thank you. To my left, Vice Chair of the committee, Senator Tony Ada. Thank you. Mr. Chairman. Senator Frank Uggan Jr., Senator Brant McCreadie, and Senator Tommy Morrison. Thank you very much for joining me. We'll start off with the appointment of Mr. Castro, and we have individuals who have signed up, and we'll go ahead and start with the ones who are here. We'll have Senator Shimizu. We can start with you, and then Mr. Castro, if you can, we'll get all the testimony, and then we'll call you when we're ready for you. Okay?
Gives me time to study.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll make it short and sweet. I'm really honored that Will had asked me to come and not only testify but to sit next to him in his confirmation hearing. I fully support and endorse his appointment. He's going to wear two hats, as I understand it. He's also going to wear the hat as Special Assistant Senior Staffer to the Governor. I think this is one person that you all know, and I'll make it quick and short because you have a lot of work to do, and I support his confirmation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Senator. I'm also like to recognize Senator Tony Lamarena. Senator, thank you very much for joining us, and please, you can also come and testify with us. Okay. If Mr. Castro would, if you like to, you can come and join us. And also, of course, I'd like to recognize Mr. Castro's family. Deb is here, and also his sisters and his mother-in-law. Thank you very much for joining us this morning. Senator? Senator Lamarena, please, go give your testimony.
I'm first.
You know, being the statesman that I am, I'll yield to my senior Senator Shimizu. Oh, you're done already? So I missed the commercial. Senators, Chairman Rodriguez, I'm here. My name is Tony Lamarena. I'm here to testify in favor of Will Castro for the position of the Bureau of Statistics and Plans. The Bureau of Statistics and Plans, by the way, it's BSP, not BOSP. BSP is a highly technical bureau which handles a variety of topics, from coastal management to economic statistics to GIS and the GIS is very important because it provides information to the various government of Guam agencies as well as to the public at no charge. So Will, with his know-how and his technological fortitude, I think he's a prime candidate for the position. I myself served as the BSP director for 5.5 years and realize the potential that the agency has, and I think with the leadership of Mr. Castro, he will take the Bureau to greater heights. I know that Senator Tommy Morrison also served after my term at BSP, and he also realizes the type of individual that needs to serve in that position. I think Will Castro, with his knowledge, I know he's a graduate from Harvard with his master's degree. He's a doctoral candidate at Columbia. And although I'm a JFK graduate, he's an FD graduate, but I still support him. But, 27 and a half years ago when I started in the government of Guam, we were, and my colleagues at the time, were the incomers. And I think Will is the new generation, and I think he's going to lead our people. And I say he's going to lead our people because I remember the first time I met Will, he was a staffer for then the late Senator Angel Santos when we were serving together in the Guam Legislature. And Will was just a very young man at the time. But I know that what he learned from Senator Santos was how to be compassionate to serve the people of Guam. And I think he has taken that. And I think everything that he's done, his civic responsibilities with the Young Men's League of Guam. He's also served, he's a member of the Knights of Columbus. He's served in numerous civic and charitable organizations. So he's taken that a step further. And I think that we shouldn't stop his momentum. And I hope that you consider him for this position. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Senator. Mr. Pelkey?
Buenos dias, Mr. Chairman, Honorable Senadores. Matuzu gini na ogan pabe sangonyam zuna o sapoti dan na ini confiansial mami ni inanun lalahin guahan pata sapoti si badai calon mami si Will Castro como paro director gi Departamento ni Statistic and Plan pa Gobernamento Guam. Zauna bay tay pa Augusti testigo gi fino English. Good morning, Mr. Chairman. My name is Bob Pelkey. I'm the president of the Inetnun Lalahin Guahan, the Young Men's League of Guam. This letter is written in support of Brother William Castro's confirmation to the position of Director of Bureau of Statistics and Plans. Brother Will is the co-chairman of our Centennial Committee. We'll be celebrating 100 years in 2017 as an organization on Guam. And he's also the Public Affairs Officer of YMLG. Brother Will has been an active voice throughout his tenure with the League and has significantly contributed to our goals of improving League membership, enhancing our public profile, and in raising money in support of our League's 100th anniversary this coming April of 2017. He is energetic, committed, and has on numerous occasions demonstrated his ability to serve and lead. I have known Brother Will for 20 years, beginning when he was at the University of Guam. And in those 20 years, and in the various capacities I've interacted with him, at least this much has remained consistent. He is a consummate professional who is mission-focused, dependable, highly creative and energetic, and able to get the job done. In closing, based on his resume, I am of the opinion that he is more than qualified to fill the position. Furthermore, based on my experience and observation of Brother Will Castro's performance in a work and volunteer setting, he is fit to lead the Bureau of Statistics and Plans and serve the people of Guam. Sijusmasi.
Sijusmasi, Mr. Pelkey. Mr. Blas?
Manana Sijus, Mr. Chairman, Vice Chairman, Senadores. I'm here to positively endorse Will Castro for VSP. Being in the military for 20 years, being in the hotel industry for 25 years, I have known Will to support both the military and the private sector. I've known him to be a good family man, and every time I meet him, we have these issues about quotes, and one of the best quotes that I could put Will is Will Rogers, when he says, "I've never met a man that I didn't like," and that's Will Castro. In issues that we bring up on a daily issues when we talk about what's happening on the island, even though that he has probably never served in the military, but he has a very keen knowledge of what's going on to his research issues. And when we share experiences of what needs to be done, how to the military build up, all the issues, protecting our rights, our Chamorro rights, rights of all the Guamanian people on Guam. It gives me, as being in the military and being a leader and a management in both sides, he has the guts and he has the glory. And he's always right on all his opinion. And believe it or not, Senators, but sometimes he will take the bottom of the barrel's opinion and say, hey, listen, that might work. So he's a person that would actually go on and seek opinions from others. And I can tell you one thing, he is smart. And in Chamorro ways, this is Malati and Tomtom, which is a lot of difference in how I was bringing up. And to add that, Guy Rispitu, a lot of respect. He's one of the young men I know that would probably amen, kissing of the hands of the folks today. And my senators, those really, really hit hearts when you look at how our Chamorros are coming up now. The values is kind of shine away, and I believe that as BSP, he will do good for the people of Guam. He's our son. He's the sons of Guam and Lion Zuos, Suzusmasi.
Thank you very much, Mr. Boss. Mr. John?
Hafaday. Good morning, senators and members of the committee. My name is Anthony John, and I'm currently a senior at St. John's School and serve as the chairman of the Emerging Leaders Program. I'm here this morning in support of Mr. Will Castro for the position of Director of Bureau of Statistics and Plans, as well as to answer any questions you may have regarding the Emerging Leaders Program. I'll be brief. In my role as chairman of the Emerging Leaders Program, I've worked under the council of Mr. Castro, and we have done many things. And of all the things I've done in my high school career, I can honestly say this program has made the biggest difference for me personally, and I think I can speak on behalf of the other members of the committee to say the same for them. We could not have done this without the leadership and guidance of Mr. Castro. He has taught us that even though we may have a small voice as high school students on the island and not be in a position of authority, we can still make a difference in our community. I'll add to this that not only can we make a difference, but he has taught us to take the obligation to make a difference. And it is Mr. Castro's vision through the emerging leaders that gave us the vehicle to participate in the process. We have done a wide variety of projects such as clothing drives and addressing the mayors of Guam regarding issues such as the neighborhood watch program and how we can improve upon it using technology. And he has helped lead us through all these projects. So I'd like to thank Mr. Castro publicly for giving me these opportunities through my high school career, and I full-heartedly support him for this position. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Vice Chairman, any questions for this panel? Senator McCreadie? Senator Morrison? Senator Arnold? None? If not, thank you very much for your testimony this morning. We'll now call on Mr. Robert Wolford, Chief Joey San Nicolas, Deborah Cabrera, Agnes Blas, and Agnes Cabrera. If you just signed up to just signify your support, and that's fine. You don't have to come up. If you wish to provide oral testimony as I call your name, please come forward. Mr. Ray Vega, Jarina Blas, and Tony Ariola. Mr. Vega. Mr. Ben Meno. Mr. Meno. Okay. Chief, I'm going to start with you.
Hafaday, Senator and members of the Legislature, thank you for allowing me to be here. I actually intended to just be here in support of, but you didn't give me that disclaimer prior to walking up here, but I'll go ahead and testify. I've had the pleasure of working with Mr. Will Castro specifically on one committee, and that's the Interoperable Communications Working Group. And as I'm holding the hat of the chairman, Will Castro has actually been the driving force behind this committee and this committee is to replace the aging land mobile radio system. Multi-million-dollar project that requires a lot of technical expertise, and that's definitely something that Will Castro has brought to the table for me, and allowed our committee to move months and years ahead after being stagnant for so long, to the point where we've just about completed phase 1 of the negotiation process. I'm putting this out there as an example to demonstrate Will's desire to succeed at whatever task and purpose you give him. I've known Will actually for a while, probably I believe just leaving high school years about 4 years ago. I'm a public high school graduate. He's FD, but we melted together real easily. And I think that's just a testament to the type of person that he is and how he can work with anybody, especially me, as difficult as I can be when it comes to being in charge and delivering task and purpose, because I do hold people accountable. But he's met it. He's actually blown it out of the water, and all I can say is that he is definitely an asset to this government, and he does deserve your confirmation to Director of Bureau of Statistics and Plans. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chief. Mr. Vega?
Good morning, Senators. Senator Rodriguez, Chairman and Vice Chair, Senator Tony Blas, Frank Agon, Senators, Senator McCreadie, and Senator Tommy Morrison. Tony, I'm sorry. I come before you in support of Will Castro's appointment to the position as a Director of Bureau of Statistics and Plans. I'm quite sure that most who would give testimony would allude to the credentials that he carries and would demonstrate that Mr. Will Castro is the best fit for this position. I'll try to skip the educational because I think the person himself would be able to articulate that better. But my brief testimony today is just, it takes a great deal of commitment after having been schooled in the best educational institution in the States to one day come back and work with the people of Guam and share the experience and the education he learned all these years. Mr. Castro has a big heart, and I think it is on those two qualities that I see in him that I humbly ask the Guam Legislature to consider his appointment. He is very committed to serve the people of Guam, and he has a big heart for the people of Guam. Senator, I hope you would consider his appointment. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Vega. Uncle Ben?
Masih pada i-report to na ano si Vicente Simeno tautoy na lang mapanagod do gini ang ginsinyon usay sa patoso por favor you're welcome husaludam do the hugov agradeci i para in atan i isla itano itautaw isalud itodo do Guahaong kabadero. Uno na kabadero, joven, animoso, bravo, hinitos, intelligente. Hinitos meaning, instead of saying in Chamorro bula, hinitos is matutsuda, over. Intelligente the brilliant mind you have. We have a young individual born and raised Chamorro. Ahi tita discriminate i ototautaw. Laudaho na baituna azu ileg niya inifresi. Itumungo hafagi vinanagwin ni Chamorro gi eskwela yalang kwarto ileg niya inifresi. Istigi na ina manggayit gwini. You represent the people of Guam. We vote for you, and we expect that you do the right thing. And the right thing to do is when we have a young individual full of energy, full of knowledge, brilliant of his ability, with all the experience that he have, from south to north, east to west, and around and all over. We need that kind of individual. Tanisisita es tinataw-taw. Utungo si Will Castro. Uno problema, I have one big problem with Will. The W-I-L-L, Will? My problem with that is that I'm afraid that he's going to say yes all the time. You know the word will? I think he's not going to do that. I think he's going to be a fine individual that will hold that key for that department, that will ensure that his job is well done. Not like what we experienced on this past typhoon, where the only time they find that the generator not working is when the typhoon hit us. You know, that's why you're here, to serve us and listen. Be a good listener. Because if you're not a good listener, the next round I will not vote for you and I'm going to go campaign against you. I get irritated with this. My dear Senator, I give you the dignity and the respect. 4 days out of water and 4 days out of power, and our food is no more. What does this have to do with Will? Your leadership. We need to put people in a department that can lead. The quality is what I'm talking about. Not quantity. Quality. Equalidad. Imamis dan mangi. You know, when you come to the market, which some of you do, but very rare, Senator Agon do, when you buy lagwana from me, I always tell you it's very sweet, but sometimes I lie. So it's up to you to make that determination. A lady came to me, a Vietnamese lady, buy 5 lagwana last week. Excuse me, before the typhoon. And I said, it's very, very sweet. The next week she come back and said, you liar. She's bringing the lagwana over. So I said to her, well, all you got to do is this. So I stopped lying. I'll pay back what you don't like. But how many did you eat in a tree? They could only lie a little bit. So I pay the 2 for free. You know, when you give and show people who you are, your character, the dignity, we are going to be okay. But we have a young individual here. I'm so sorry that I voted for him and he didn't win, but try it again. This is a young man that I'm looking forward, whether it's for this department or not. We need him. We need his leadership. He have a good character, his intelligence, his knowledge, his education. Chamorro, Hobin, Bravo, Animoso, Hinitos, Tiningo. Buenos días, Sis Masi. Thank you.
Sis Masi, thank you very much, Mr. Meno. Is there any questions for this panel? If none, thank you very much for your testimony today.
I forgot to say that I did support him wholeheartedly, 1,010%.
Thank you. Senator Torres, thank you for joining us. Okay, we'll now call on Mr. Castro.
Antes no hu tutuhun, Malagod na bay who recognisa sabay na undangklo na si Dusmasi para ini suporten mizo family ko sogak ko Chalo kampailetta itsaluta giinet ng lalahin guahan afanyelos di gobernamento. Actually, Mr. Chairman, I was hoping that the gentlemen that were first up here wouldn't speak and be dismissed. They were my sort of my safety blanket, but I'm very ingratiated by all the kind words they had to say. Si Will Castro, Dr. Barragada, si Dusmasi Puresi no oportunidad na bisetbi, itaw tauta. Hafade, Mr. Chairman, the Honorable Senator Dennis Rodriguez, former Vice Speaker and incumbent Senator Frank Blasagan Jr., Senator Mary Hafade, Senator Brand McCreadie, bueno, Senador and Kapaileko si Tony Ada, itsaluta si Senator Tommy Morrison. For the record, I'm Will Castro, currently serving as the Acting Director of the Bureau of Statistics and Plans. I was given very sound advice to keep my statement short, so I'll use this window of opportunity to highlight things that are not reflected in my resume. And if the committee sees fit, we can speak briefly about the Bureau and some of the plans I anticipate to undertake. I'm here this morning to present my professional and personal experiences, to share a little bit about my family background and volunteer service to our island, in hopes that I can attain the support of this committee and your individual vote of confidence for my confirmation to the position of Director of the Bureau of Statistics and Plans. In my brief experiences in both public and private education, the private sector, my active role in the community, I humbly submit that it makes me uniquely qualified to serve as the Director of the Bureau, with a far-reaching mandate, as Senator Morrison knows, which in summary is to support and coordinate comprehensive planning efforts designed to further the economic, social, and infrastructural growth, while also protecting the natural resources in order that we may benefit not just the current but future generations. My experiences include having served as the previous Chief Technology Officer in an acting capacity. I was a director at a private school, a chief planner, the Guam Department of Education, and probably most important in my resume is the fact that I'm a teacher in a K-12 environment. I had the privilege of serving at the Northern Mariners College as a Director of Institutional Effectiveness, which essentially is planning and evaluation. I had the distinct privilege of serving honorable men and women as a special assistant to the President and Chairman at the college, specifically Dr. David Leongaro Shimizu and the former Acting Chairman, Jesse Leongaro. I had the privilege of serving as a Senior Policy Analyst for the late Senator Angel Santos, and had the opportunity also to serve the incumbent Speaker, Dr. Judy Wanpan. As the previous speakers highlighted, which I'll defer from speaking at great length about, and my packet reflects, I attained graduate level education from fine institutions like Columbia, Harvard, the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, but of course the region's finest, the University of Guam. So deep down inside, I'm a Triton first, and a Triton always. My parents are Marian Peter Sablan Castro, Jesusa Mendiola Castro, esta no ritual si Tatal, Departamento Customs and Quarantine. He grew up on a farmland and had a brief stint as a member of the armed services. There is one correction to the previous speaker. I wasn't born on Guam, I was actually born in Italy during my father's service in the Navy. My mom, she turns 80 this year, and she grew up with modest means. As my sisters may confirm, hopefully you don't ask him, I iron my own clothes, I cook if I need to survive, and I dance when I can't. And as my mom is with some tremendous force, has taught me to exercise humility even when I must. I'm currently engaged to someone who has helped me strengthen my faith. She's strengthened my resolve to continue in public service. She's been there in times of success and in my personal trials and tribulations. That's Dr. Deborah Cabrera. Deborah is a faculty member. She's also a department chair at Social Sciences at St. John's. She's a member of the university. She served in various capacities on Guam and in the Sinamay. I'm privileged to have, very blessed to have 4 children, Ashley, Cameron Haani, Liam, and Mariana Jesusa. Tehu. Last, in our display of my affinity for our community and as Senor Menu highlighted, that shared affinity for our great Chamorro people. I've continued to serve in those capacities since having graduated from high school in various organizations, to include the Knights of Columbus, the Alumni Association, Young Men's League of Guam, the Lions Club International, and most recently assisting the First Lady and the Governor of Guam with the Regalo Foundation's Gift of Love. If you have any questions about my family background or my professional, educational experiences, I stand ready. If not, you can ask me some questions about the Bureau, and hopefully I can satisfy your questions.
Thank you very much, Will. Mr. Vice Chairman?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just for transparency and for the record that, as Mr. Castro did allude to, that my wife and I are godparents to his youngest daughter, Mariana, who's right there sitting in the audience. And I just hearing the testimonies that came before, and I think the only concern that I had was that it was alluded that you'll be wearing two hats. You're still going to be a special assistant to the governor, and also the...
Yes, sir, in a non-compensated collateral capacity.
Yeah. And I think the only reason why I bring that up is that, you know, being that Senator Lamarena did point out that this is a highly technical position, do you think that it would, being the special assistant to the governor and also wearing the hat of BSP, take from your duties as BSP, also being in senior staff?
I was gonna add a lot more to that, but I remember that this is being recorded and will be transcribed for the record. I was going to talk about shelter transitioning and so forth. The short answer, Senator, thank you for asking, by the way, the short answer is no. As a matter of fact, in my conversations with Senator Morrison and prior to that with incumbent Senator Frank Blas Jr., what we're starting to see, makes perfect sense these days, is the convergence of technology, which I serve in a special assistant capacity to the governor, to the administration, the convergence of technology and information. The Bureau has always been at the center, at least by statute, of all major planning activities. Now, thanks to the efforts of this august body, led by Senator Morrison, we're able to raise, I guess, the awareness and the level of seriousness that the role of technology plays in today's society, and insofar as we're concerned in government operations. If you really analyze that, there really is no true separation from the technology and the data mining. Where the magic really happens is in the interpretation of that information to make decisions, meaningful decisions, based on the data. So my special assistant capacity to the governor of Guam as special assistant for research, planning, and technology, in my humble opinion, really just exemplifies the need to tap both technology and the planning activities of the Bureau and bring them together to advise the governor to the best of my ability.
I see.
Yeah.
So, being the director of BSP, where do you see BSP going in the next couple of years, or in the next 5 to 10 years? Where do you see BSP heading to?
Well, thank you. And your colleague advised me to make sure I didn't break out the magic wand, so I'll try to limit my response. You know, I think you already know this, Senator Morrison, and Senator Lamarena recognizes very easily the Bureau has some of the most talented staff. I'd like to sustain whatever it is they're doing insofar as natural resource work is concerned, economic data analysis is concerned, but I'd also like to contribute to that discourse in extracting some of the activities that are within the respective divisions as a standalone unit. I really think we're starting to see the evolution of concepts like climate change and resiliency, sustainable growth and development. Now, that topic seems to encapsulate things like the Coral Reef Initiative, coastal management, land use. So that's something I like to bring to the table. What I'd really like to achieve, which is not my idea alone, I give tremendous credit to the governor for having birthed this one, is the establishment of an information exchange. The ability to stand up, whether it's an actual server or floated in the cloud, but the technology is not important, as is the concept. The concept is to take aggregate data from throughout the government because they are disparate. They live in different agencies, and sometimes never do the data sets come together. If I had my mobile device, I can share with you one fine example. The Guam Land mobile app is one example of how I have 7 sets of data from 5 different agencies converging on a single platform to deliver information that can best serve the community, and with the political will and the monetary support a specific constituency. Take, for example, realtors and appraisers. So, based on that example, I really see the opportunity, should I be confirmed, to bring life to the concept of establishing not just a Guam information exchange, but a regional information exchange that we can tap and share with our partners, particularly those in the CNMI and those to the South Pacific of Guam. That's one of the ideas, Senator, that I think is actionable.
That's good to know. Mr. Chairman, I'm glad that Mr. Castro has taken the appointment from the governor, and that I hope you have my full support and my vote, and hope to see that your confirmation will be up on this next legislative session.
Thank you, Senator.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Ogden? Senator Torres?
Hafiday, Mr. Castro.
Buenos dias.
It's obvious that you have the support of many people in our community, as is evidenced by the number of people who have come here, in support of you. But because this is a confirmation on a job that is very important to our island and our economic development, I just wanted to ask you, what do you feel is your most outstanding accomplishment in your capacity as Chief Technology Officer? I noticed that you, in your packet, you had the dates of hires starting from January 2014 to April 2014, and then again April 2014 to April 25th. So you held the job for a year plus, right? A year and 2 months. But what, in your opinion, is what is the one thing that you could tell me you are most proud of that you accomplished in that position?
Aside from having a deeper appreciation of those folks as they consider themselves to be data, the now new Office of Technology, aside from my personal appreciation of just how hard they work to hold the organization together, I don't know if pride would be an appropriate term, but I did serve very briefly in an official capacity for 90 days prior to the expiration of the appointment because I didn't go through the confirmation process. I think I'm pleased to have started a dialogue with many of the staff at the Office of Technology about the functional needs of that department. They're wide and they're deep. There are many positions that must be retrofitted in order to meet the demands of today's technological climate. We need a data security officer. We need a network administrator. And so we identified that, ma'am, and we had put it in a working document. The second thing I think that I don't take tremendous pride in, but I'm happy to share with you, was that we laid the foundation conceptually for what has manifested itself in terms of the Guam Land mobile app, which is the sharing of information between agencies. The Office of Technology historically has stood up operations to support DRT and the central administrative processes of the government of Guam. But make no mistake about it, there are at least 40 individual entities within the government, and that dialogue needs to continue to happen in order to best streamline the technology services being rendered. I don't know exactly how best to do that, but I think we started to embark down that path of having the discussion, and a recorded one at that.
And if I may continue, under the Bureau of Statistics and Plans, we're well aware that one of your focuses, and you work alongside with GITA or in concert with GITA on a lot of the plans and the developments and realizing all of that. And a lot of that also entails funding from DOI, grants and the like. In considering that your new role, you be appointed under the Bureau of Statistics and Plans, includes the development of a wide range of plans and policies, and you will be assisting in the development of these plans and policies and studies that further the economic, social, land use, environmental, and infrastructure goals and priorities of the island. In looking at that, Will, and in being there for, how long have you been now in the position, acting? Just a short while, right? A few weeks?
Yeah, I was appointed 4 weeks ago, and I've been in the seat, with the exception of the typhoon that just left, intimately involved for about 2 weeks now.
What do you see just coming into the
Sure.
fill the shoes right now? What do you see as one of the main challenges of the bureau presently? Like, what are the shortcomings that you see that you identified already in the short time you're there, that you would like to embark on to shore it up?
Well, that's a great question. One of the challenges facing the Bureau that's endemic throughout the entire government of Guam is that of human resources. We have great division heads, people like Edwin. We have Lola. A lot of these names are familiar to you. Monica. We some other folks, GIS administrators. But if we could dream a little dream about filling all the necessary positions to fulfill the mandate as established by statute, you're looking not probably at a bureau, but a monster agency. So one of the greatest challenges, to answer very succinctly, is to be able to temper what is possible with what is actionable. I agree with you. It's explicit in the mandate that we are to lend a coordinating role, if not a central planning role, in the development of a sustainable economic plan. Under my tenure, I hope, with the confidence of the governor and the lieutenant governor, I'll be able to contribute significantly to the development of the Imagine Guam Comprehensive Strategic Master Plan. The ability to flesh that out remains to be seen, but that's part of the planning process. You're also correct in that the Bureau receives several $1 million worth of federal monies to stand up not just economic planning, but to be able to look at things and ensure that we're in compliance with certain zoning requirements. The Bureau also receives several $1 million to support justice programs that are spread out between the Judiciary, ma'am, the Guam Police Department, the Guam Fire Department, Homeland Security. There are several other programs that fall within each of the respective divisions. And by the way, I left out probably one of the best kept secrets, very humble man, but definitely very knowledgeable, Mr. Albert Perez, who produces reports that have tremendous value to the community. And so I guess the short answer would be, to reference back to my initial response, would be manpower and identifying the necessary resources to flush out these plans, should we pursue them.
I think one thing that I'd like to call your attention to
Yes,
is
ma'am.
we do have, and it's been brought up in a lot of other public hearings not related to yours, but there are many grants and grant opportunities that are lost. And I understand that, there's always an argument that there needs to be more manpower, but I think you also have extremely talented and knowledgeable people that can contain, this lost opportunity. And so what I was hoping for you to tell me was that you're aware that there are a lot of shortcomings right now in the department, and that things have fallen through that need to be contained. And I know that you certainly have the background, Will. There's no doubt. And I've gotten to know you, through the campaign trail. I know what you're capable of doing. But I think what we have to do in today's climate is not only identify what needs to happen, but work within your parameters, right? And that's always the first call. What can I do with what I have, and how can I make it a little bit better with what I have? And that's the sort of leadership that I'm looking forward to with you. The get your hands dirty and, surround your people, your good people around you, and, work collaboratively towards one common goal, utilizing the good comments, opinions, and expertise of those that currently exist in the department. Because I think in every department, and what I've experienced when I worked for the government as well, is the resources are really in your manpower. And a lot of your existing manpower, because they're tenured, and they also have a good heart for the department. They're extremely dedicated and devoted to the mission. They can put on 150% for you if you're the right leader for them.
Yes, ma'am. Can I just add to Thank you for
Please.
bringing that up. Another way, I guess, if I could reframe the question. So, if you asked me what my role was as director, I would tell you there were two things I need to fulfill. The first role, as you were very clear on, ma'am, is to ensure programmatic and fiscal compliance with the existing grants, whether they're federal or local subsidies. I agree with you 100%. there are challenges within the Bureau and outside of the Bureau with respect to ensuring programmatic compliance. The second thing I think the role of the BSP director should be, and has been, is to be a lot more bullish about chasing competitive funding opportunities outside the scope of local appropriation. I really tilt my cap to the governor, lieutenant governor, Kate Baltazar at the clearinghouse. Together, we'll be taking the initiative to write several competitive grants. I suspect within the next 24 hours, the governor will get word from the Office of the Interior because his team was able to take the initiative and petition through a competitive grant process for additional federal funding to alleviate the pressure on the transition of shelterees as a result of Typhoon Dolphin. So to the first part, I agree with you and I acknowledge those challenges. To the second part, I look forward to opening up additional opportunities and managing those resources well, ma'am.
Thank you very much, Mr. Castro.
Thank you, Senator. Senator McCreadie?
I don't have a question. I think everything was said in the hearing with the panel and some of my colleagues. I just want to let you know that I fully support you. I had an opportunity to meet you on the campaign trail as well. Very dynamic, very impressive. You're very qualified, extremely qualified to do any job in the government, whatever it is, whether it's elected or appointed. And so I thank you for taking the appointment, showing up here today. And I think you have a great future in this government, leading, moving forward. And I hope that you stay to your course and you continue to teach, learn, and give your wisdom to our youth and our next generation. But I fully support you. Thank you.
Ben Provetso, Senador.
Thank you very much, Senator Morrison.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good morning, Mr. Castro. I certainly want to thank the governor for appointing you and you accepting the nomination. I was very fortunate to serve as a director of the Bureau of Statistics and Plans, but I also could not do it without a good chairman that had oversight of BSP, and that's Senator Dennis Rodriguez. I think, and I'm very honored to be part of this committee to help support this office going forward. Certainly, I want to thank and commend those who took time to be here, your family and friends, relatives, those who put testimony in support of you. Certainly, I wrote some notes down, and as you were chatting away and talking about your vision of BSP. However, I have some questions along the lines of the mission of BSP, and as you stated earlier, the ultimate mission of BSP is to safeguard our island's resources and use them effectively to benefit our people. However, I know there's challenges there. I was very fortunate to still have a chief planner at the time. We had Mr. Salvatore that also oversaw and had the institutional knowledge of developing the compact impact reports on an annual basis. I know that is a void that you need to address. You do have Monica there to help with that transition. Now, you brought up filling those positions. I think when we left off, we were moving in that direction to take care of those positions, and I'm glad you mentioned that you're moving to take care of those areas. And we spoke a little bit about technology, right? And you have a chief economist that oversees the economic division. You have the planning and information program. Falls under Lola, I believe, maybe still, Monica. And then you have Lola, the planning division. Of course, that was also oversaw by the former Mickey Leon Guerrero, the chief planner. And then now we have you as the former acting chief technology officer. So it leads me to ask this question. What are your thoughts? I know the Office of Technology, and I thank my colleagues for helping to embrace this concept and stand it up, of integrating the Office of Technology under the Bureau of Statistics and Plans. As we stated earlier, we have a key key components there that serve from planning to for all our resources of Guam, a wide range. However, knowing your expertise in the area of office technology, it seems fitting to ask this question because I do not certainly want to lose the continuity of the efforts that have been made already with the office. What are your thoughts?
Well, good morning, Senator. And I made a commitment to one of your former staff to echo these words. She did say it was in my best interest that you are, in fact, in her mind at least, the best director BSP has ever had. So I want you to know that that was echoed on the way. If I could at least be the third best, second only to Senator Lamarena, that would be a tremendous, tremendous privilege. Now that that's out of the way, I'm sure she'll be watching from home. I just want to address, can I go back to the issue of compact impact, and then I'll come back to technology. You know, it's really, it's awesome how experience on the field and in trying times like this really reveal gaps in what we know and oftentimes in what we don't know. And one of the things I like to incorporate, Senator, from the compact impact perspective, which we realized this time around, at least I did, coming in cold, was that we don't capture that data in times of distress. So, for example, if we had 800 shelterees at the height of Typhoon Dolphin, and as my colleague, Fire Chief St. Nicholas back here may affirm or correct me, at least 75% of those folks are COFA residents. Okay, this would be non-U.S. citizens, non-Guamanians, if you want to categorize them. When you house these shelterees, there is a numerical expression associated with that. So let's say it's $10,000 a day because you have your EMT, you have so you have your fire personnel, your police personnel, you have supervision from the agencies, you have the mayor's council, you have your volunteer corps. If you were to do a staffing pattern to house these folks at the height of the typhoon, which is our moral, fiduciary obligation, civic obligation, it comes out to about 10,000. If it's 75% of that per site, and now that we're in transition sheltering, times 2 to 3 sites, maybe that's 7,500 times 2, that's $15,000 a day. If I can capture that over 10 days, that's what, $150,000? I think we can take advantage of the opportunity to be clear, to be concise, but also to capture that so that we can petition to our federal counterparts as well as to folks like you whose primary job is to appropriate, to take into consideration these factors. Now, I just want to add that because you're right, Monica does a tremendous job with the compact impact, but if there's one small dent I can do, it'll probably be an appendix to the compact impact report to include that. Getting back to your question, sir, I'm going to have to give you my opinion on a personal level. The governor has many advisors, and I'm sure, as he has consistently, steer us in the right direction with prioritizing the initiatives of the executive branch of government. Notwithstanding that, I think the concept, for the purposes of discussion, of converging the Office of Technology with the Bureau of Statistics and Plans to loosely coordinate some type of Bureau of Research Planning and Technology or Bureau of Economic Development Research Planning and Technology, I think if the framework is established, the proper machination to manifest that was there, I think you've hit it on the head. Because the capturing of data throughout the government, assuming it's digitized, is going to reside in a central location. And if you can put that closest to those who can interpret that data, we're that much closer to making better sense of those phenomena that face the community. Okay? So, on a personal note, I think it's exponential growth in terms of advancing the people's agenda through your efforts, looking at technology and planning to be housed under a single unit. As you know better than I, the Planning Bureau, the Bureau of Statistics and Plans, was actually born out of a planning grant out of the former Department of Commerce. It's really interesting how government morphs, and I think this could be another opportunity to consolidate for the purposes of having more efficient and maximize use of our limited resources. So thank you for the question on a personal note.
I thank you for that response, Mr. Castro, because it's very important that my colleagues know as this office evolves. It's a very new office, and it's taking great strides already over the short period it's been around. And I'm very concerned about it as we provide additional resources to the office. We want to ensure that it's in safekeeping and it continues to grow. Another question is the Northern and Central Planning land use plan. I'm not sure if you had a chance to digest that, but that was one of the latest updated plans. I brought this up to my colleagues in several rezoning measures, and what I'm concerned about is I think many folks don't realize that the Northern and Central Land Use Plan has been adopted. Actually, there was a letter sent by myself at that time to the Attorney General's office to ensure that this is the land use plan that's in place to guide our government going forward. Are you aware of the plan? Are you aware of the land use plan? It was anticipation of the military buildup, and however, it was funded by the Bureau of Stats and Plans.
I'm not intimately familiar.
Okay. Well, if you could look into that as we go along, because it would help my colleagues here guide us with, even when we go through rezonings, to use that as a guide to ensure that our resources, our aquifers, agricultural areas that may be used are a part of the zoning or the land use plan are protected as well. So I want to ensure that's in place as we go along and see these things come before us. Last thing, Mr. Chair, is we just had the clearinghouse down here not too long ago, and we had some good discussion about some of the things going forward. BSP is a member, as you know, of the clearinghouse, and we talked about, as Ms. Torres brought up, seeking grant opportunities. Where do you see BSP going forward as far as not only being a member, but ensuring that it does get the resources as far as indirect costs associated to build that grants management office or build that opportunity where there's that continuity of efforts that are exploring grant opportunities for Guam?
Sure. Thanks for the question. I've had this conversation with Kate, the current administrator of the program, the clearinghouse, and I see the Bureau's role as being an enabler as part of the information exchange. And forgive me, I bet if you asked Mariana to draw a better picture of a cylinder, she'd do a great job. I basically see the Bureau as establishing, to oversimplify, a layer within this information exchange. This layer is where folks like Kate or other federal program managers can upload the data and see it in a transparent fashion, and to be able to query through a customized interface certain things and types of information that could be extrapolated from that. So the short answer is I really see the Bureau as playing an important role in aggregating this information for and on behalf of the clearinghouse as one part of this information exchange. Like I used the example of the land app earlier. I think one of the problems my colleague is facing is that we don't have a complete inventory of all the federal programs that are here coming into the territory, the unincorporated territory. She's aware of several, but not all, and I can even name a few that don't fall on her radar. However, I'm going to assume, I'm going to take a leap of faith here, that if we stood up an information exchange of some sort that was technologically based, that the chief executive could require line agencies at least to upload the reports in the same fashion that they do to their grants management programs already with their federal counterparts into this information exchange for local review. That's not an additional burden upon any of the reporting entities, and I think that'll be welcome by even those who look at the compliance reporting side of the House, particularly the public auditor and the Guam Legislature.
Thank you. Last one, Mr. Chair. Last one. This is one of those confirmations I enjoy very much as a former director. But one of the things you mentioned here is the critical information from the consumer price index, the export trade data. That I see some of the folks that are here, your staff, very wonderful staff, that on a continuous basis always make sure that we get the most accurate data for our community. And also the census data. A lot of folks don't know that BSP houses all census data. And one of the challenges that I see there, and I hope that you can put in your radar, ensuring as far as we look at housing affordable housing to Rhode Island, economic growth, infrastructure, is that we see a shift in population based on the census data, and a lot of that is mainly comes back to cost of living issues. But we got to look at the island's shift. The population has not, in my opinion, has not significantly increased. However, there's been a shift of population, and that's as a result of cost of living opportunities that are Central North. So, these plans were put in place, or speaking with the governor at the time, and I hope you can put that on your radar to see that these opportunities are also available to the southern communities as well.
Thank you very much. Duly noted, Senator. Those are some of the trends we saw even with the Department of Education spanning 7 to 10 years. I can acknowledge that.
Thank you, Mr. Castro. You have my food support. And again, we'll talk more in your other stuff here, the ideas. But thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Senator Morrison. Thank you, Mr. Castro. Before I called you up, I didn't realize there were still others who signed up to testify. Your testimonies in support, Mr. Pedro, Mr. Anthony Kenga, Ambrose Constantino, David Camacho, and Pedro Liangoro are noted. If you would like to still present an oral testimony, I would go ahead and welcome it. And maybe if we can, we'll limit it to at least 3 minutes so that we can move on to the next item on the agenda. Will, you can just sit, but Mr. Kenga?
Yes, sir. Senators, as a former captain in the United States Air Force, my integrity and my word is very, very important to me. And in saying so, I took the liberty last year to have Will Castro as a Sir Knight in the Knights of Columbus, Senator Reseda, be initiated. Will Castro now is a Sir Knight, and he's my brother. And we share the same thoughts, the same ideals for Guam. Great thinkers dress alike. I didn't know he was going to wear khaki pants. And he's done a lot for this island. One thing that Senator Torres mentioned was a leader, and his leadership is impeccable. As you well know, when we did that campaign run, Will Castro combined a powerful team of 12 that we dubbed ourselves the Disciples 12. We also climbed Mount Lam Lam on Good Friday. Will Castro and I were at the top of that mountain, and we shared the graces of our good Lord on that day. Politics aside, we shared the grace of the good Lord. In short, as his former director for marketing and communications, this is what I want to say to you. Styling, wilding, working hard for the island. He's got Chucks on, dressed like Saint Laurent. Let me kiss this man. He's so pretty. He's a good man. You all know that.
Thank you very much.
Let's put him in there.
Thank you. Ambrose?
Morning, Senator. Senator, one way to describe Will here is that he's a very modest man. When he first went to his new job, people were asking me, because at Guam Homeland, they're very tight-knit because we have to interact and work with each other. And they were asking me, what kind of man is he? And I told them, you know what, first thing you need to do is just knock on his door whenever there's an issue or a problem. And Senator Rodriguez, you know that, like, right now, you and I, as my oversight, I go back to you and I'll do a follow-up. So I did a follow-up with some of these people that work for him. And I asked them, so what do you guys think? Well, they said that he's easy to talk to, treats you like a person. He makes sound decisions, whether it is, this is what I need you to do, or let me get back with you because I need to follow up on this. And he will ask for your opinion. So he's a very modest man. In the short time I've had an opportunity with him, he has worked with me, we stood up the cybersecurity task force, cybersecurity working group, and it comprised with a lot of technical IT folks. And he became the chairman, and I was his vice chair. He guided the ICWG, which Chief Joey Nicholas mentioned, and basically we're at something that was there for years is now almost coming to fruition, phase 1. He's applied applications using this stuff that many of us is foreign, but for a young person like him who sees the advantage of this, and we're using it throughout the storm. And speaking of storms, we asked the question, how can you do two jobs at the same time? And I'll put this into perspective. During the storm, I mean, the Governor Cabo has done an amazing job. In 3 days, we got 95% of power back on island, and only lost 1 day of school. And 1 day of school means a lot to people that are homeless, have financial difficulties. That 1 day ends up meaning that's another day of where I need to take care of my children, as opposed to the government assistance, food programs and stuff like that. And Will was part of the shelter task force. I mean, I didn't ask him to be there. He just showed up, and he was in there helping put the shelter plan together. We're talking about not the school shelter plan, but the transition, or what we call the Tier 2. He was right there and putting it and guiding people together and making a plan, and it was great. And so we only lost 1 day of school, and that's amazing. During the disaster, I did not ask him for the assessment on the private sector. He just handed it to me. Here it is, even before I asked for it. So this is the kind of man, right now we're still in the recovery mode. The first few days, I'm going between federal, private sector, Gov Guam, all these different agencies, and he made my life easy, because during the disaster, he's taking care of a big chunk of work, which is shelter management, and he took another chunk of work, which is the private sector side of the house. And as he transitioned from what he was doing, and he said, "Hey, Ambrose, just want to let you know, we've got this one portion. I need to start letting the others start doing their portion of this, and that way I could focus on other things." And I think he's done a marvelous job doing the transition. So, just from my perspective, I think this man right here, in the few months that I've worked with him, he's been in almost every part of Guam Homeland, BSP. I can't say enough that he's a very strong and important man to this government. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much, Mr. Constantino. Mr. Leon Guerrero, I think you stepped out when I called, and I apologize that I didn't call you guys before I called the nominee. But we'll limit the testimony to about 3 minutes so we can move on to the next agenda. If you have written, you can just submit it and summarize. Okay, Mr. Leon.
Half a day, Mr. Chairman, and Senators of the 33rd Guam Legislature. My name is Pedro A. Leon Guerrero, Jr., and I am the Director of Guam Customs and Quarantine Agency. And I'm here this morning to support the confirmation of Mr. Will Castro to be the Director of the Bureau of Statistics and Plans. Will Castro is a highly educated and versatile professional whose life experiences started from very humble beginnings. He quickly learned at an early age that getting a good education was the key to his success. He is a proud alumnus of the University of Guam, and years later became one of the few local boys to apply, get accepted, and graduate from Harvard University with a master's degree. His early professional career centered around education, having taught at Untitled Middle School and St. John's School. He also worked at the Northern Marianas College and the University of Guam. His public service career includes having served as an acting chief technology officer for the government of Guam. On a personal note, Will Castro and I share a common link because our grandmothers were sisters, and I'm proud of my primo's accomplishments and his willingness to serve the people of Guam. I humbly request for this body to confirm Will Castro to be the Director of the Bureau of Statistics and Plans.
Thank you very much. Mr. Camacho?
Try and do it within the 3 minutes. Buenas noches. My name is David V. Camacho, and I'm the Deputy Director for the Department of Land Management. I would like to take this time to provide my endorsement of Mr. Will Castro's nomination and request for your confirmation to allow him the opportunity to serve as Director of Bureau of Statistics and Plans. I base my endorsement on my personal experience of his positive work ethics and what I interpret as his vision and drive to create an efficient and effective government. As Acting Director of the Office of Technology, Mr. Castro showed the potential to unify property Information from various departments has meant to improve customer service to all users of such information. Most recently, it persisted in its endeavor to lead to creating remote access to the land information to the Land Web program. And most currently, it led the construction and application of the mobile land application, making land information convincingly available to touch of your smartphone. This innovation was the stepping stone to bringing the government into the age of technology, and proof such approach can serve beneficial to producing a more efficient, effective, and transparent government of Guam. I, along with other department leadership, remain excited of many advantages to be had of applying such technology and leave the sense of excitement of things to come, as it serves as a springboard to improving how our government can serve the people of Guam. His credentials speak for itself, and he has proven time and time again his personal attribute of having a willingness and openness to work with public stakeholders as well at all tiers level of the government to address and resolve core issues that affect the quality of service and relationship between the public and the government of Guam. From a leadership perspective, Mr. Castro appeared to take a bottom-up approach to address challenges that affect both customer service and the way government employees do business. It would not be uncommon to see Mr. Castro working next to the employees as a means to identifying an own issue. Likewise, he worked with various leadership and management level individuals to achieve common goals. In order for Guam to compete with the rest of the world, the island's future rests on leadership that clearly understand the challenges it faces, as well as maintain the knowledge and skill to address and challenges. His accolades prove evidence of his commitment to serve the government and the people of Guam. He maintains desirable level of discipline and integrity, two necessary attributes in qualifying good leadership, to which he has displayed in various leadership roles within the government. With this, I humbly request your kind and positive consideration in conforming Mr. Will Castro to continue to serve the people of Guam in the capacity of the Director of Bureau of Statistics and Finance. Thank you. Mr. George Marshall.
Thank you very much, Mr. Camacho. Yes, Senator Ada, you have one question?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Constantino, I just wanted to readdress the issue of wearing two hats. And I brought that up because on a daily basis, I didn't want Mr. Castro to be the information technology advisor to the governor and be a director of BSP. And like Mr. Meno said, we want to put in a quality leader and not a leader with quantity. You know, I don't want the leader to be wearing many hats and not be able to fulfill the mission of the department or any other agency that he is appointed to or that wears a hat. And that's why I brought up that issue of wearing two different hats for him, and that he'll be able to concentrate on BSP and not anything else. And you know, the issue of typhoon and being these things, I mean, that's something that just comes in every so often. But on a daily basis, if he's going to wear the hat of information technology special assistant to the governor and BSP, I'm afraid that one or the other is going to fail. Either BSP will fail, or being the senior, special assistant to the governor on information technology may fail, and that's why I brought that up. So
Yes,
I just
Senator.
wanted to readdress that to you, so that in any future appointees that come before this committee, they can understand where I'm coming from by wearing one hat. And that is what I wanted to do, is ensure that we put a quality leader and not a quantity leader, as Mr. Meno so forth put.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you, Mr. Chairman. I don't need any, and I just wanted to bring that and point that out to you. Thank you. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you
Chair.
very much, Mr. Vice Chairman. Thank you very much for providing testimony this morning. Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Castro. The committee now will move on to the next item on the agenda, the executive appointment of Dr. Brian Claris, DTP, as a physical therapist representative to the Guam Board of Allied Health Examiners. I'd like to call on now Dean Margaret Uchima, Robert Wolford, and Chief Joey San Nicolas.
Mr. Chair.
Tommy, no more questions. Tommy, you know it's first. I think we should just go free to a wrong pool. There's a lot of issues.
Morning, Senators. My name is Robert Wolford. I'm a IT support staff at the University of Guam under the School of Nursing and Health Sciences in support of Dr. Claros, but also Dr. Uchima had to excuse herself, and I'll be reading her written testimony in her behalf. Senators. Dear Senator Rodriguez and members of the Guam Legislature, I'm submitting testimony on behalf of Dr. Ryan Claros in support of his appointment to the Guam Board of Allied Health Examiners. Dr. Claros has been working at the University of Guam in the School of Nursing and Health Sciences since August 2013. He is currently an assistant professor and advisor for the health science students in the pre-physical therapy concentration. Dr. Claros holds a doctoral degree in physical therapy from the University of St. Augustine for Health Science in San Diego, California. He has a Master of Science degree in exercise physiology and a Bachelor of Science degree in kinesiology with an emphasis in fitness, nutrition, and health. His educational background makes him an ideal candidate for this board. He has experience working in clinical settings as a physical therapist in California, and after moving back to Guam, is the Director of Programming at Custom Fitness. Dr. Claros provides a variety of services including rehabilitative care, wellness and nutrition counseling, personal training, and sports-specific training. He has experience in research, teaching, and clinical practice. I believe his education and experience will provide a solid foundation for the important work needed by the Board of Allied Health Examiners. Dr. Claros is intelligent, hardworking, and has an enthusiasm for health and wellness that he passes on to our health science students. He is an excellent role model and has been a vital part of our health science team. His passion, knowledge, and skills are moving our program forward into new directions, and his work will help to improve not only the education of our students, but also improve the health system on our island. Through his emphasis on wellness and physical fitness, he has worked directly with GDOE schools as part of the Non-Communicable Disease Consortium's efforts to tackle the problem of childhood obesity. He has a dynamic energy that is truly needed to advance efforts to improve the health of our island residents. I believe his drive, passion, and energy will be beneficial to the Guam Board of Allied Health Examiners, and I humbly request your approval of his nomination. As Dean of the School of Nursing and Health Sciences, I am proud to support Dr. Claros, and thank you for your time and consideration. Signed, Dr. Margaret Hattori Uchima.
Great. Thank you very much. Dr. Claris, thank you very much for being here. Congratulations on your appointment. I want to thank your family as well for being here. Thank you. I will go ahead and accept your testimony.
Hafa Adai and good morning, Senator Rodriguez and members of the Health Committee. Members of the Committee on Health. Ladies and gentlemen, I am grateful and fortunate to talk before the Committee on Health on my appointment as the physical therapist representative to the Guam Board of Allied Health. I'd first like to thank the Honorable Eddie Bazacalvo for appointing me to be the physical therapy representative to the board. My name is Ryan Robert Claris. I was born and raised in Guam, attending both parochial and public school from kindergarten through 12th grade. I graduated from Father Duenas Memorial High School in 1998 and attended the University of Guam for 2 semesters prior to leaving to San Diego, California, where I lived from 2000 to 2012. While living stateside, I was able to gain great experience and a wealth of knowledge, obtaining a Bachelor of Science degree in kinesiology with an emphasis in fitness, nutrition, and health, a Master's of Science degree in exercise physiology, both from San Diego State University, and a doctoral degree in physical therapy from the University of St. Augustine for health sciences. Upon returning to the island in early 2013, I partnered to form Custom Fitness, LLC, Guam's only multidisciplinary facility which fills the gaps of health and wellness that people are not aware of or not knowledgeable about. Additionally, I currently work at the University of Guam in the School of Nursing and Health Sciences as a full-time assistant professor and also as an advisor for all pre-physical therapy students. This is my first appointment to any government or Guam-related board. I am excited not only to learn from the rest of the board members, but also to be able to contribute. My main interest is to advocate for the profession of physical therapy. Not only are there a very limited number of physical therapy practices available here in Guam, but residents are also unaware of the value of what physical therapy has to offer. And I'd just like to, here's an excerpt from the American Physical Therapy Association on the value of physical therapy. Physical therapists help patients regain function in their daily lives. Physical therapy is a highly effective alternative to prescription medication and surgery for many conditions. PTs commonly work with patients to alleviate pain correlated with neck, shoulder, lower back, and knees, in addition to providing low-cost options for treatment of chronic conditions. Research shows that individuals who receive regular physical therapy treatment experience greater improvements in function and decreased pain intensity. I would like to be able to give back to the island that has given me so much, and I hope that I can help by being an advocate for physical therapy. I believe the benefits of physical therapy are life-changing and can drastically improve the quality of life for the people of Guam. Again, I would like to thank Senator Rodriguez and the members of the Committee on Health for allowing me to speak before you all. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Vice Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Claris, for first of all for coming back home after studying in the States and making Guam again your home and practicing here, and looking forward for the future of our island. If we can just change the confirmation hearing to a little bit medical. My daughter has a rotator cuff.
I get that all the time.
Anyway, I was just looking at your resume and your application packet. And you're I tell you, filling it out by hand is great because you didn't leave out anything. I don't have any questions. I just want you to know that you have my full support and my vote, and I hope that once again that the chairman would place your nomination up for vote on this coming session. Thank you very much again for coming home and making Guam and our future to be what it's going to be. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Ada.
Thank you very much, Senator Elgin.
Sometimes it would be appropriate to just say ditto. But in this particular case, the Vice Chair is very correct. Thank you not only for coming back home and giving back to your community, but most importantly, offering yourself to our island community in this particular capacity. The only question that I would normally pose to an individual who's appointed is whether, in fact, he or she is able to make time for the meetings and make sure that, in fact, during the course of the entire year that you can be accountable not only to your service as a member of the board, but most importantly to our people. And I glean that just from your enthusiasm. Must be the physical therapy that you apply, but I glean that from your enthusiasm and really from your testimony this morning. So that question is not necessary in terms of me being able to pose it. But thank you again for offering yourself to our island community, most importantly in this very critical board. And we certainly I look forward to your contribution over the course of the next couple of years. Thank you very much, Dr. Claris.
Thank you, Senator Blas.
Thank you very much, Senator Morrison. Senator McCreadie.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I want to thank you for taking the initiative to be appointed for the next 3 years. I have the experience of having, I think, 5 sports surgeries, and I know what it's like to get rehabilitated and sit there for a year or 2 years to try and just get back to normalcy, right? So I think it's very important that we have that knowledge here that maybe we didn't have before. As we grow in community numbers, you talk about rehabilitation and preventative measures that we can do to not just rehabilitate injured athletes, but to curb childhood obesity, diabetes, which is huge on Guam. And so, you are an apt description of somebody who we all talk about is the next generation leading the way and the next generation making it better than this generation. And so you offer us something that we don't have. And I think that's very important to note that when you do your job correctly and you go off island and you get educated and you come back and you want to use that institutional knowledge that you now have to help the island of Guam, it's a no-brainer. And we have a bill coming up next about a hospital in the south. But what you do is you help people to live better, healthy, quality lifestyles. And you save lives and save money, because in the long run, you save money. You don't increase hospital beds, you decrease them. So in a perfect world, 10, 20 years from now, you would have decreased hospital beds if you institute your programs and your knowledge that we have on Guam. So I don't have any questions. I just want to thank you, and I would like to see what happens at the end of your 3 years to see where we stand as far as a healthier and a better productive community. So thank you very much. You have my full support.
Thank you, McCreadie. Thank you, Senator McCreadie.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Torres?
Dr. Claros, I just want to thank you very much for your commitment to serve on the board. And looking at your very excellent resume and listening to your testimony and seeing your very professional demeanor, I think you would make an excellent addition to the Board of Allied Health Examiners. And I just wanted to say congratulations for a very good presentation today. And I was thinking that you're so remarkably physically fit, and I also acknowledge that part of it is because you're 20 years younger than I. So, but there is hope for all of us, I suppose.
Age is nothing but a number.
Congratulations, Doctor.
Thank you, Senator Torres.
Thank you, Senator Torres. Senator Morrison?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Dr. Claris, I hope you provided, I wish you could provide physical therapy to Senator McCreadie prior to him getting on the pitcher's mound, because now I know why I've been getting hit by this guy. 5 surgeries. Well, thank you for willing to serve our community. And I also want to thank Mr. Wolford for being here to provide testimony and support. And also, I appreciate your contribution. I think we participated in a couple of South Pacific games or some major events, and I've never met up with you, Dr. Claris, personally, but I've seen your interaction and helping our youth in many ways, and I thank you for that. And I'm just, as Senator Ada noted here, the list of accomplishments, and also mainly your community and civic involvement here throughout our community. I thank you for that. So with that, I look forward to supporting your confirmation in the next legislative session. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Morrison.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Ada, yes.
I'd just like to apologize, Doc. I did call you Mr. Claros, and I didn't call you Dr. Claris. I just wanted to, I just wanted to ensure that I corrected myself. Yeah.
Call me what you like.
Thank you, Doc.
Thank you very much, Senator Ada. Doc, thank you again very much for accepting the call to serve on the board. We'll take all the testimony we have today, prepare it, and make sure it's out for the next legislative session. Okay?
Thank you.
Great. Just one question. Have you met with any of the members yet of the board?
I have not.
You have not? Okay. I suggest you start at least to just get briefed on some of the issues that are before them. It's a very busy board. And so...
I hear.
Yes. Okay, great. So again, thank you. Congratulations. Thank you again to the
Thank you,
family.
Senator. Thank you, board.
Okay, we'll move on now to the next item on the agenda. Bill 51-33. I'll ask the sponsor, Senator McCreadie, to give a brief description of what the bill is, and then we'll call those who wish to testify.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, Bill 5133, otherwise known as Spitat Hatsa, was formulated to provide extended care to the people of the South, particularly to reduce the distance traveled and to minimize and transport the time that's afforded them. Residents of the South are faced with particular hardships because of the distance and time required to travel to the hospital or other medical facilities to receive medical care. Mr. Chair, I think it's important to note that my whole intention for this bill is to try and see if we can work together with the board, yourself, and the executive branch to come up with a plan to make this work. So I'm hoping for that, and we'll see where it goes. But thank you for allowing me to speak, and thank you for hearing this bill, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Senator. Thank you. I want to acknowledge Mayor, Deputy Mayor Melissa Savares. Thank you very much, Mayor. Director, CEO of the Regional Health Centers, Ms. Linda Dorsey, Guam Community Health Centers, and also the board members, Mr. Ben Meno, Mr. Ray Idrosa, Kuya Ray, right? And Okay, please, if you can come up here, whoever, the board.
Yeah, we have Minty, Shimizu, and Annie make pieces.
Yes, of course.
And we want to recognize Dr.
Yes, Dr. Cisan, thank you very much. Please, we can pull up a chair on the side, so.
No, Joe signed us.
Whoever
Okay,
wants
I'll
to.
go ahead and go first. Thank you, Senator Rodriguez. I am Mayor Melissa Savares, but today I'm sitting in as the chairperson for the Guam Community Health Center Board. At this time, we did review the bill number 31. Is that 184? Oh, I mean 33, 5133, and. As you recall, several years ago, a feasibility study was done when they wanted to do urgent care at the health centers. And a feasibility study was allowed through the legislature. And that's where we came up with the urgent care facility at the Guam Memorial Hospital. During this past weekend, we've had the health center open for 4 straight days to accommodate emergencies or residents who, actually non-emergency. We had residents that needed to evacuate due to no power because they need oxygen. They need to refrigerate their insulin for their diabetes. And the health center had not, in the 4 days that was open, the 24-hour period, not one resident came to seek shelter. At the Northern Community Health Center, we had 1 person per day come to the health center to seek assistance for care. We spent over, in the 4 days, with the timesheets that were calculated, we spent over $41,000 for those 4 days to accommodate one patient. And that's a total of 9 staff that rotated through the period of the storm. What we've done over this past year is we have extended hours that we started January 1st or the January 8th of 2015, and those extended hours the clinic hours are now open until 8 o'clock at night. We open at 7:30 in the morning until 8 in the evening, and those are for primary health care patients that want to need their appointments, but most patients don't want to have their appointments from 5 to 8. They want their appointments to be during that 8 to 5 period. So, to have the facilities open, program income, if we're looking at getting program income to continue to fund the centers being open the long period of time, it's not going to be enough. We're not going to have the patients that need that want the services at the health center during those times. We are funded, our grants, we are funded through HRSA. We have HRSA grants, and our grants are for primary health care, not emergency care. So as a board, we are concerned. We don't want our grants to be jeopardized because we want to go into urgent care. We thought that, even with the announcement over the last several days that urgent care and the GMH is busting at its seams, now we're going to start sending people to the health centers. Nobody from the hospital came to seek medical care. So that's, I'm speaking for the board, and I'll go ahead and turn over to our board representative, Mr. Meno.
For the record, my name again, Vicente Ximeno. They call me Ben, Tautanalan. I was born and raised, and I'm going to my 80. Hopefully you would reach that. Thank you very much. I do understand this, Mr. Chair, Mr. McCreadie, Senator McCreadie. I came to your office to discuss this issue, and I'm not going against because what the mayor said. Yes, I am against this. for many, many reasons. I presented a letter right here, and I'm going to read partially, then I'm going to go off track. You digest this yourself. What she said, the same thing I'm going to say. It concerns about a lot of issue, funding, the quality of work, the federal government. When you put two dogs in one box, a German Shepherd and a Bulldog, you know what's going to happen. They're going to fight. We're all human beings, and I like that you dream big, Senator Rodriguez and Senator McCreadie. Thank you for dreaming so big. That dream is long overdue. We really need urgent care in the South. Thank you for that. But your dream went off track. And I'm going to explain so you can understand. I heard you loud and clear. Let's all try to work together. And of course, they voted for you. You represent the people. They didn't vote for me. But I raised my right hand to serve the people of Guam under the governor's leadership. And I'm doing my fair share. During the typhoon, I was out there with public health, with the doctors, with the policemen, with the nurse, with them. The wind was blowing very hard. There is no customer. I go around the community. I met the mayor. The mayor is by herself. I end up meeting 8 people that needed help. But these have nothing to do with health. Okay? They needed help, but not for health. However, when we speak about health, I really like your dream. And I hope that all of you would understand. Maybe not joining with what you have here for Guam Memorial Hospital to make a contractual, like you told me, agreement with the community health center, come together and work together. I don't believe that's going to work. Coming from my perspective, I have been with this board for 16 years. Senator Rodriguez, you're not yet born when I worked with your father. For your information, we have Hospital Haja back in the 60s. I don't know whether Dr. Silang is still alive. He is the director to run the Hospital Haja right in the heart of the community. It's funded by federal. It works well at the beginning, but it fell apart. You know, we do need urgent care, but when you look at the blueprint of that building down there, so at the north, I don't know what kind of understanding do you have. In the blueprint, every box, every section of that community health center have a purpose. Why you came there and see that a lot of them is empty. And the very reason why they're empty is because we need your help. We need more money to hire the staff, buy the equipment. Otherwise, those boxes, those space should not be there. But there's a reason why in the blueprint why those things were divided. But the answer is, which I tell the governor and myself directly, we need your help. And the help that we need is we need more money. We need more funding. I fear for my life that when we put urgent care down there with Guam Memorial Hospital, here is a community health center board. That's what I mean with two dogs in one box. You understand that? Senator Ada mentioned about a person, a director wearing 2 hats. I know somebody who wears 5 hats right now. A director wearing 5 hats. And I'm one of that board, member of that department. and it's not working. So you see, the experience I see in our government, many times it don't work. I was a former Board of Education for 8 years. I was a former board of the American Red Cross for 12 years. I was a former board of the SPIMA. I'm a board now at the Chamorro Affairs and the Community Health Center. I'm bringing this thing out because of my experience that I go through with the government leadership. At times it fails. We need to review and study more of this urgent care need for the South or the North. My proposal for you, Senator, Mr. Chair, Mr. McCreadie, yes, we can have the urgent care down there. We have to build it up. Build it up. Put another story. And put the resources in so it will serve the need of that community or the northern community. We need money. I don't think we have that kind of money. We used to have X-ray, but it don't work. We need. You only speak about hemodialysis. What about the other disease? You need a lot of things, and you need millions and millions and millions and millions. Right now, we only have one pharmacy. One individual that we thank her, Mrs. San Nicolas, who served the North and the South. And you know gas is going up. Our road is horrible. The environment on the South, the road, is terrible. We're talking about health. There are many, many things to consider. The Southern Community Health Center have ample space to extend and build. But to call for an urgent need care services down there, I don't think it's right at this time. We need to study it more, and we need to come together. And I hope and pray that when you come down there, please come and see our administrator, talk to the board of directors, the community, and in that way, you would be better off in providing information. We're here to help you. And you're there to talk to us. And we will come together and meet halfway or in the middle, and let's make decision on what's best. Because what you want is what I want. Don't forget that. I want an urgent care services down there because Guam Memorial is too far. I like Senator, Mr. Chair, Mr. Rodriguez, that when you propose a brand new hospital, please I ask you, don't go to Digo or Dedido. It's overflowing. Put it in Chalampago, where the southern people have the access of Hihut, little bit near. We have a lot of government property. If you don't want to put it in Chalampago, you don't have a lot of space. But put it where it will service people, the entire people of Guam, from Anderson to Humatak. Consider that. Okay? There's a lot of things to say about the urgent care need. If and when you go ahead and approve an urgent care need for the South, you have that power. The community health center is not going to die. I'm going to resign and quit. But be assured, you're not with me. You're against me. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Anyone else to provide testimony?
I have such a wonderful board, as you can see, very well represented. I think they said it all, really, realistically. You have our written testimony, And I also provided the whole litany of the urgent care in great detail that we did way back when. I know, Senator Addo, you were really, really interested in gung-ho to move forward. I'm really a team player. I'll just tell you that. I'm not here to cite anyone. I'm here to do what is the right thing to do. I was at the typhoon at that time. I'm so injured. I've got tendonitis. I got carpal tunnel because I write a lot. I work a lot. But I'm not here to talk about me. I'm just here to say that I've been in this business for the past 17 years as an administrator. I started when they didn't have any computers. They had nothing. I feel like I gave birth to it because I really brought it to where it's at today with all the gifts that God has given me to write grants. It's not easy task to do that. It takes a lot of sacrifices, a lot of creativity when you write to make it happen. When I was at the health centers, I was moving vaccines in the middle of the night, 12 midnight, from one site to another till 2:30 I came home because one generator went down. That happens when the generator's been operating for 4 days nonstop. And then I had to take the vaccines back with my nurses to north, from south to north the next day, which is Sunday. Then I had to go again and worry about everything, do emergency stuff. So throughout the storm was really a great eye-opener to see. We had a discussion. GMH called me. They had a meeting about their overflowing at the hospital. That they have 5 people that needed to go out. They're just sitting there. They just need a power source. Why can't we send them to you? They kind of like begged me or they pleaded with me. What can I say if I don't have a generator and I don't have power? So you provide me the power or get me somebody that even the private contractor didn't want to fix the generator right then and there and refused to do it even though we had a government of Guam purchase order. What more can happen that can go wrong? If I was an electrician, I'll do it myself, but I don't have that ability or the skill. So then when that happened, and I listened to GMH, I listened to Dr. Lizama saying, but these patients can go, we can save them for the other patients. And I'm now thinking, if that was my mom, my dad, or that was me, or anybody that I love dearly, what would I do? And the decision that I made was exclusively a decision that the director relied on me to have enough courage to say, okay, give me good advice. And that is my job. So I said, let's help GMH. I don't have a problem with that. As long as I can guarantee that I have my nurses around the clock, let's do it. So we did. We opened up 24/7, everything. I was expecting those 5 people that they were saying can move to us. I was waiting for them. I prepped my staff, everything. We got our oxygen concentrator machines. We had everything in place. Nobody came. I went through the experience that I checked every day, 1 person coming at a time. The total for the 4 days, as far as we were concerned, when we went all the way throughout the whole exercise until we shut down, just the day, Wednesday, we shut down completely. We even opened up 24 more hours to accommodate that same patient that constantly stayed every night. I think it was just too addicted not only to the oxygen, but to us, the nurses. He loved us so much. But the moral of this story is that nobody showed up. As Mayor had indicated, I have all my data. I showed the data. I told the director this is the data. I had it all itemized, demographic, where they live, age, breakdown, what do they do, treatment plan, how do they get dismissed. Very good. I sent it to him daily. I had the breakdown of all the damages, the diesel, just to run the 3 diesel, the 3 generators. The 2 generators at the south costed over $11,000 in diesel. I kid you not, because there was no power until just a day or 2 ago. It just came on. And then the north, of course, to run that generator costed almost $2,000. So that's in addition, not to include other expenses. So the bottom line is, it was an eye-opener. Maybe the Lord wanted us to test how it would be. I have no idea. But I stand here, and I am in support of my 2 board members and all the other board members here today, that really to run a health center takes millions of dollars. More or less urgent care, I would not even imagine would be based upon our feasibility study. will cost millions of dollars. And we also provided the executive summary, so you don't have to read that real thick binder, but we nonetheless made copies for you. We were so detailed in how do you want the intervals of, and the training that we had with this last storm showed the interval with all the nurses going 12-hour shift, or do you want 8-hour shift, you want 6-hour shift, how we shift everyone. We did all that in great detail to show you that there's also consideration of night differential, overtime pay. It's one thing to have the funds. And yes, you can make your statement known that, well, veterans is coming. Senator, when you visit our health center, I'm sorry I wasn't able to be there. I had to be at another place, and I couldn't cancel that. But we are expecting Veterans Hospital to come in. And the Veterans Clinic is going to come in, and they are providing their own staff. They're paying for everything. They're paying for their doctors, their clinical psychologists, their security guard, their nurse, their medical records. They're paying for it. We're not even touched. We're operating exclusively on our own as a health center. When you look at right now, we've joined forces with Guam Behavioral Health. They're already at the Northern Center. They're doing their own thing. They're being paid by their own grant. They're doing fine, collaborating with us. We also have Good Samaritan Hospital. Dr. Claros is here on island. I'm meeting with him tomorrow. He's a cardiologist, and we're going to be doing telemedicine to save this government tons of money than transporting patients off island that could be done by a specialist that can communicate with you via electronic. We're doing everything possible. I even visited Good Samaritan Hospital on my last trip in Los Angeles, and I saw a dozen patients from Guam. I visited everything in detail to see how we're going to make this whole thing work. The Good Samaritan Hospital telemedicine project was funded for $400,000+, and the reason why it was funded because you had to have 4 components to make it get funded. The first component is you have to have the material, the equipment to do telemedicine. The second, so that grant was for the equipment. The second is you have to have real people, specialists, that will be able to do that telemedicine services. The third piece is you had to partner with a rural health clinic such as us. If you didn't have all those pieces together, you will not get funded. It was highly competitive grant. It got funded. And so what I'm trying to say is Good Samaritan is also coming in with resources available from the federal government. Now, the after-hours clinic, like my wonderful board members have mentioned, was also funded from federal grants that, of course, I wrote for the after-hours coverage. And again, we're extending our hours to 8 o'clock at night. I'm even doing my own study, my own assessment to see the data. How is it going to look like from the time we didn't start urgent care to, the whole clinic operations, not only that, but primary care, how it was, what is the difference between the after-hours coverage? Did it make any difference in the number of patients seen? And then I'm going to do a cost analysis to see how much am I paying the staff for that time period. Is it really cost effective? Right now, I've talked to all my nurses, and they have given me the data, and that I clearly prepared in the written testimony. Very few. And as Mayor had indicated, they rather be in a 8 to 5. And that was the same thing we found out in the study with GMH, which was really surprising. You would think after they get off work, it'll be more convenient, they have a ride. You would think that. But based upon the data speaks for itself. This is what assuming one thing is something versus the actual data. That's another thing. So what we have to do when we do a comprehensive needs assessment, and our nurses have done a comprehensive needs assessment, which is required for the federal government. My fear now that we've had our whole assessment with the federal government, they really do a thorough site visit review. And if you don't know, we had one just recently in July 2014. We were cited for 6 issues. We fixed 5 right away, and we're just finishing up the last one, which is the key management positions, that if we don't get this done, They will defund us. And that's why we had to push really hard to get that bill. And thank you, Senator. And now it's advertised on the DOA, so we're moving forward, and we hope we get your support to push it through. Otherwise, the grant that we just turned in, the 3-year grant, will be all gone. I mean, this is going to take us to 2018 for funding for $5.9 million. If we don't produce those key management position recruitment, it's going to be kiss it goodbye. So the point that I want to make is, maybe after my lifetime as an administrator, maybe you can revisit, and as Mayor said, our good Mr. Menos said, he might be here, I might not be here either. I don't know about Mayor Tavares, but maybe the other board members will continue to be here, and the wonderful staff that we have at our department. They're so dedicated, Senators. Please understand this. They left their families. They left their children to man the operations of our health center. And I even had to thank all of them personally from the bottom of my heart, even the doctors. And I just ask for your patience. This is something we don't want to rush into. And just to let you know, if you have any other questions, please feel free. I'm a team player, and I hope I appear that way to all of you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Linda. And of course, you know that I really appreciate the work that you do, the staff and the board. And, the support that we give is always going to be ready for you and the staff there. Thank you. From anyone else? No? Okay. Any questions for the panel? No questions.
I just want to thank you guys for coming. I spoke to Mr. Meno at the church. We missed each other. I know I spoke to Mr. Narcy and Mayor Tavares. Obviously, this is a baby step first type of initiative that we're trying to accomplish. You're right, it's dreaming big. But I think when you talk about the failure to imagine, it's just complete failure. We don't, if you look at where we want Guam to be in 20 years from now, if there's still no health center in the South, then we failed. No, that's the reality. And I know that the experience coming from this side has zero knowledge when it comes to comparing the experience with you guys. But the dream is there, the goal is there, the solution is there. We as leaders, no matter how long we've been in that leadership position, have to work together to facilitate it. So the people in the South, North, Central, they don't have to worry because we're doing it for them. Because of what you said, you voted for us, that's our job now. This has never been a bill to try and put in jeopardy any type of grant money. That's why we changed it from extended care to from urgent care to extended care. The conversation that we had. So this is a bill that says, hey, there's a need today, 10 years ago, 10 years from now, to build a hospital in the South, whether it's urgent care, extended care. We have to work together to try and find that mold that works, and that's what I'm trying to do. If this bill is not that route, then we throw it away and we rebuild something that works. But this is something that I just want you guys to know that it's not something that I decided to introduce and pound on my chest and stand on the top of the mountain and say, I'm a senator and I'm going to tell the board what to do. Absolutely not. This is something to say, hey, listen, there's something that I think we need, just as Senator Ada did, I think 4 years ago, and let's work together to do it. So that's it. There's no questions. I agree with what all of you are saying. I don't disagree. Yes. I don't think you're opponents. I think what you're saying is, let's do it another way, or let's do it together, with all the heads involved. And so I agree with that. So let's do that. I mean, I'm not going to ask for this to go on session floor and pass it and then cripple you guys or handcuff you guys.
Sure.
We'll work with the chairman. We'll work with you guys. We'll work with whoever wants to work with us, and we'll get it done. That's my initiative.
Yes,
Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Very well said. I just wanted to share with you, since Senator Ada's time in 2000 when he proposed it, we did make progress, and that was the reason why we did the expanded medical capacity grant, among other grants. We have 4 other grants that we did get funded for. And again, that was so that we can accommodate those patients after 5 o'clock. And that is the reason why we move forward in extending it to 8 o'clock. So we did make progress in that direction. We also made progress in applying for another grant, which is the eligibility outreach grant, which allows 3 Medicaid eligibility workers to work with us so that we can get more access to care for Medicaid patients. And that is still in place to this very day. So we've had 4 grants funded in addition as supplemental to get us to where we're at today. So yes, Senator McCreadie, we hear you, and we're also willing to work together, and please know that from our side. You know, I love to work with people, you know that. That's why we have a lot of partners that are coming our way. And yes, our facility now is going to be a lot more filled from the last time you came, because the food stamp and the Medicaid and all the people are now at the second floor. They're fully occupying the space. So when you were there, they weren't there yet, but now they are. We are getting veterans in. We're also getting the Dr. Claros is going to be visiting with us. We're just doing the fine-tuning. We just ordered the equipment. They're being shipped to Guam for the telemedicine. So we are moving in that direction. So there's going to be more space that will be filled. So I think the underutilization of the space is not going to be an issue for very long, I assure you. So thank you again. And thank you, senators, for your wonderful time. We're also adhering to all the federal guidelines, as I mentioned. And another bill we're going to be presenting to you very shortly is we're going to change our fee schedule so that it's in line with the federal requirements to continue to be at the same marketplace with the others.
Last comment. I have to stop Linda. Linda can speak all day. She's like that, but she's wonderful. The last comment I'm going to make, all of these things that we said, the mayor said, Linda said, there's one person in our group that really make this happen. In my past experience, with all the directors that I serve, with all the governors that I served 11 governors in my lifetime. Before Governor Vidalio, Governor Flores, Governor Guerrero, Governor Camacho, and so on down the line. One person in the community health center that really turned the community health center around up to par to the present time, Linda Dinorsi. We have an administrator on the pass. We have an administrator on the pass that I work with, that I know, but it never happened. But when we have Linda Ompinko Dinorsi came in, we are up to par to the present time, where the federal government came last year. I invited them in D.C. and I said, they'll tell you. I said, you want to know us? You want to know what we do? Throw this paper away and come to our island and see for yourself firsthand and talk to us. Then you can understand. And they said, oh yes, Mr. Meno, we will. And they did. This lady, this individual, live with public health. I don't know what the husband is saying, but if that's my wife, I'm going to divorce her. She spent her entire life on the health center. Linda Ompinko Dinorsi. That's the lady. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
If Mr. Meno dies, is still alive before I die, now I know who I'm going to ask for my eulogy, right? Senators?
Great, thank you. Senator?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I want to thank you all for your input. I got the executive summary, and I'll go through it. But I think one of the things, prior to this, we had a confirmation hearing with the Bureau of Statistics and Plans, who has pretty much a broad mandate and a wide range of missions, actually, and objectives. But I brought up the concern of regarding the data that's coming through. I'm not sure how things are funneled through to the grant opportunities that go through the Bureau of Stats and Plans. the concern I brought up was when we were reviewing the census data in 2010, and seeing that many folks feel there's a lot more people in Guam. However, in my personal opinion, I believe that's not really significant. I mean, I don't think the population has significant increase because we've actually didn't meet those projections of 180 to 200,000. We're at cap about 160, right, population. But we saw a shift, a major shift in the population of the southern residents moving, and it's very alarming. And I think, Mayor, you probably, I know a lot of you see them as evident right in front of you, and I bring this up because, and how this relates to this is that there is one of the factors is a cost of living issue, and a lot of that is mainly due to concern to health issues or health access or opportunities that are nearby or what's available nearby. So people are moving to where it's closer, and that's a reality. And I just hope, working with this group, that I thank Senator McCreadie for trying to put the discussion before us, because I think that is a concern. And I've also raised that as a former director at the Bureau of Stats and Plans with the governor at the time, that these opportunities that are going before us and looking at it again from the feasibility standpoint is to see how it could be feasible and where that it could start to balance this community. It's such a small island. To me, I believe with a small population. A lot of people disagree, but I think with our planning efforts going forward, I think there has to be organizational approach to all of this, from healthcare to public safety, everything. So I bring this up and channel it, even with the director of BSB, is to ensure that going forward that there is a balanced approach to all this, because we are seeing everything shifting in a direction that we're probably, the next 10 years, there'll probably be no one down south because of these issues. But I bring this up, and I was looking at some of the items here in the draft bill and seeing how it's looking to develop an action plan and looking again at the financial opportunities or financial resources as well, or requirements that will be involved. And again, I bring that up. We just had a good discussion with the BSB director to ensure that, because at one time the Bureau it was called just the Bureau of Planning at the time, and it was from healthcare to public safety. Everything was kind of developed from that entity, and I guess things got decentralized over time, and everyone had their own planning divisions, chief planners and everything, and they started doing their own thing. However, I don't think there has been a true organizational approach to planning because of the decentralizing of planning divisions within different entities. So I just bring that up, Mr. Chair, because I know you have plans. I know Mr. Meno brought up Talampago, but I would like to bring up Agate and Umatic for opportunities as well. But again, I'm just concerned that we are, again, maybe creating some unintended consequences with good opportunities before us. And I seen it. I seen a 20% when I was at BSB, a 20% shift from central to north. South to central, and then almost like 14% to 30% shift from central to north. And then there's different. If you look at the census data, it's interesting how people are moving in your direction, Mayor, and I understand.
And I try to discourage them, Senator. When developers come in, I say, really? You want to develop in an area where there's traffic? But recently we've seen, and it started not just because of the buildup, but the new hospital was one, the job opportunities, schools. Recently, even when we have job fairs, one of the things is that, am I going to hire these people that can come to work? Or, they rely on, we're talking mass transit this week or last week about, how can we have a dependable transit system? Because some people do rely on the mass transit to get to their jobs. But if you're going to have to sit 2 hours and wait to get on a bus to work at 8 o'clock, That's not, really healthy either, right? So one of the things is that we've seen this and I've seen the growth in our community, especially with affordable homes. People come and live in affordable homes, but it's something where they can live here and walk to work. Recently, I received a call from one of the vendors or the contractors at the new hospital. And he said to me, I want to hire people in your village, so can you send me people? Tell them to come and apply. Because he wanted to make sure that if there was a transportation issue, that there were sidewalks connecting so this person can get to work. But it doesn't stop other people from also applying if they have, but people in our communities, residents in our communities, with the new, you've all been to the Summer Estates home with the elderly housing. One of the concerns is our municipal planning council we really looked at it when they were requesting to build a housing area, because how is it going to impact the neighboring schools? I cannot afford for DOE to have overcrowding in the elementary and middle schools and Ukudu High School. But because it was an elderly housing, we're hoping that those 55 and older are not going to have elementary and middle school age children, right? Yes. But and then the traffic. Are they going to be rushing out on the same road that everybody in Kaiser uses to get out to Marine Corps Drive, to get to work at the same time? But because they were elderly, we're anticipating elderly residents that are retired and don't have those young age children. We went ahead and approved it. But those are always the concerns that come up when we have a developer come in. And unfortunately, I always go back to the developers and say, do you really want to develop here? There's, like I said earlier, there's traffic. But what they look for is easy access. Are they going to have to bring in 2,000 feet of pipes for water lines, and how many power poles are they going to have to put in? Are they going to have to backfill the properties to compact it so that we're not going to have landslides and stuff? Up in the north, yes, we are over I worry about the aquifer, but we're over limestone. They don't need to dig deep to get to hard ground. I mean, we see that with our farmers. Our farmers are having to, put in compost and till the soil so that they can get their goods in. But with developers, they don't have to do that. We're already up at limestone country, area, so they're not going to have to go too deep to get that hardened. But it's people come up, and I think that residents, when they move to the north and even part of the central areas, it's a community of convenience, because they work close by, their children go to the schools nearby, they worship. We have in my community 12 denominations of faith, so it's where they can go to worship as well. So they come to the north not because it's that's where all the action's at. It's because it's convenient for their families. And unfortunately, I know that Agate has when they talked about several years ago, residents of the South were asking us board members, can you bring DSL or PDL for the laboratory services to the health center? And we've actually we looked into that. We did an assessment. But the liability for the labs drawing blood and then not having the doctor that requested for that blood work at the health center, and then the courier, it's just not feasible enough as far as the cost. And then the courier having to drive 30 to 45 minutes, depending on where that lab is, to process that specimen. So, we've looked at that. But, we know now that there's a lab in Agate that is open. So, unfortunately, Mr. Mena, you have to drive around through Mauricio and Umatic to get to the right.
It's a lot faster.
Yeah, and the road is better, so, those are the kind of concerns that we also had, because we don't want to deprive the southern residents. We want to provide for them, and that's why we want that we continue to provide services at the health center. You know, I always say you get the $1 billion view in Linda's office, you know, because it's beautiful, pristine, ocean, green. I don't know what it looks like today because of the storm, but, you know, it's a beautiful view. It's a beautiful place. It's so peaceful, you know. But we want to provide as much, especially health care. You know, when somebody has an emergency, we know time is of an essence. You know, if they're having a heart attack, you want to get them to the hospital right away.
Yeah. Mayor, thank you. I think Senator Ada had a question.
Just a comment.
Oh, I'm sorry. Senator Morrison.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I thank you, Mayor, for commenting that. We're on the same page in seeing this, and I thank, again, Senator McCreadie and Senator Dennis, the chairman, of also pursuing these opportunities as far as health care. And when I didn't mean to rub anybody the wrong way when I say that it's not feasible, you know, find a way to make it feasible or plant a seed. And at least what's happening here is we are planting seeds in areas. And I certainly know there's a big seed right there at NCS, and I know that's going to be the new district, and we may see more shifting of the population because of that opportunity. And that's just a natural occurrence. So I bring that up and tie this all in, and as we plan forward and ensure that that the opportunities, not because I'm from the South, I certainly look out for the South, but at the same time, I'm trying to find a way to balance these planning efforts. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Narcy, and to the board, you know, thank you for being here. You know, I think we've come a very long ways from Public Law 31-184. You know, I remember back then when, we were, you know, a lot of debate and discussion going on, but I think that this was actually the vehicle to move actually things forward. You know, from Public Law 31-184 to the chairman, Senator Rodriguez, actually having an urgent health care established at GMH, and now the health centers doing extended hours. I think it all worked in together, and it worked really well. I mean, you look at it today, we have clinics in Sinajana and a clinic in Manila. And I believe that the Manila clinic is already offering urgent care.
Yes.
And hopefully one day the one in Sinajana, in addition to dialysis, will also be able to offer and provide urgent care services. So I think
HP also opened up.
Yes.
At Dedito.
Yes, that's right. So, you know, all these things that are going on really goes to show how far we came since 2006, 2012. That's right. So, you know, I think Senator McCreadie and his bill is just looking forward again for the next maybe 10 years and 5 to 10 years and see where we're at then. But I think that your team has really done an outstanding job with the feasibility study, and I think this is where it all started from and how everything is now moving forward. Because I think if we didn't do the feasibility study back then, today we'll be bumping heads saying no, we can't do this. Yes, we can do this, right?
Yeah, and I want to make a comment too. Because of that feasibility study, after the after effects is the decision was to make a law and put urgent care at the hospital, and it also brought us that created that together too with GMH, because I was one of the team members to plan for the urgent care at the hospital. And of course our director and my boss here, Dr. Kaneshiro. So the discussions are still happening. Yeah. I don't think it's going to stop, Senator.
I don't think so.
I mean, even I hear them all the time during the storm.
Yeah.
And my ears are not deaf. I'm not deaf. And my heart goes to helping those poor people. Please understand that.
Oh,
and I would do everything I can to help those poor people. And I think the proof that we've made was opening the center 24/7. I mean, I could have said, no. But I thought about it and I said, we got to help where we need to help. Okay? So we're still in discussion, and we'll continue to open our doors to more discussion and more partnership. How's that sound?
And that's great,
Great.
because then you'll just go to maybe just emergency situations where it stays
Yes,
open.
and we got the urgent care running
That's
already
right.
there too. So
Thank you,
I
thank you
think a lot of steps. You're right.
to
Has
both
gone.
you and your team, and thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much, Senator. Thank you again. I remember just a little bit about urgent care when no one believed me that we need to have it over there at the hospital, because that's a natural thing for people. It's a magnet. When people get sick, when their kids get sick, they don't think it's a urgent need. They think it's emergency. So the magnet is the hospital. So now that you have that center there, it really diverts. From January to April, the report that we got was about 1,900, based on 1,900 admissions, or not admissions, but intake. 1,100 of that was diverted to urgent care, and truly the 800 plus was for emergency room. So that really freed up resources from the emergency room to urgent care. So now it's just a matter of seeing what that results in the cash and the financial savings. But Linda, since you're here on the board, what I think what I'd like to do is expand this. I know you're collaborating with them, but what's happening is that once they come into urgent care, then they're discharged, right? But there's no continuity of care. A lot of the demographics we're seeing are people, the MIP and Medicaid, and their primary care is the health centers. So that really, and I'm glad Dr. Kaneshiro is here, is we need to really get that, to solidify that.
Absolutely. It's what you call case management and continue follow-up and continuity of care. That is an issue that, requires a lot of resources, again. But when they do get discharged, they're referred to us. And many times they don't even have a private doctor.
That's right.
They don't have insurance. And yes, some of them are MIP Medicaid. So it's the same concept. We also get an overflow of all the referrals from the hospital coming to our health center. So that's what we're taxed with too. So it's the same idea as you telling you saying, well, get all the urgent care, and then we're also faced with all the follow-up after hospitalization. So, I see Dr. Lezama's point, and he and I always are conversing. Please know that. And we have a very good working relationship.
Great.
I get along
Thank you.
very well with them. So
Thank you so much again. So I thank you again for being here. We'll continue to have these discussions and work with the author. But now it's 11:24. This concludes the public hearing and confirmation hearing again. So thank you and God bless.
Good job, right?